what we're taught about dating in the conventional world is really anti-love, and actually encourages us to be less loving people rather than more loving people. And I thought if we could bring these tantric principles to the dating world, we can grow as loving people, and we can actually we can become more magnetic towards love, and we can more attract love. That's what happened to me. So what the other person is doing in this moment, I can still be loving about. So another person doesn't have to not have a shopping list for me to enjoy being with them in this moment. So I notice that I'm on a date with you, you have a shopping list, and I'm not particularly am or am not on your shopping list. What's present in this moment for me about that? So this is about having strong boundaries and being in the moment with myself about being with you. Mm-hmm. So if I notice that you're really stuck in a conventional frame of dating, and I want to have a more tantric encounter and enjoy you in this moment, I might say, wow, you seem like you have a big shopping list.
Yeah, just calling it forth what you see.
Or be present in this moment with what's in the barrier of us sharing some love in this moment. Mm-hmm. This is in long-term relationships too, right? It's like what in this moment is in the barrier of what do we need to talk about to be present in this moment with love. And that is how you build boundaries, is by being present and speaking the truth. No, I don't really want your hand on I liked your hand on my knee, but now I don't. I notice we're having coffee here, and you're asking me a lot of questions that makes me feel like I'm on a talk show. How many times do you hear this, that men are only out for sex and women are out for love? I was like, I grew up with this. Most of us grew up with this. Men grew up with this. And, you know, it's just really not true of 99% of the men I've ever met. Men are looking for love. Mm-hmm. And men are afraid. You know, almost all the counseling I do with women now, it's like, why did he say that? I go, he was afraid. Why did he do that? Why didn't he text me back? He was afraid. Why did he run? He was afraid. Men are, so there's this cultural narrative that really informs dating of all these ideas that are actually, when you're sitting in the present moment, woman and man, man and man, woman and woman. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with that type of dating, but there's all this story that if we can just be present with our own boundaries with ourselves and just be two human beings, two spiritual human beings, talking about who we are, what's going on, instead of this, I'm not good enough to be loved, let me try to trick you because you're just trying to get sex from me. I have to hold out sex because that's my bait to be able to trap you. Yeah. When I was at the ashram, and this is in a forthcoming book of mine, I had someone who was in a tantra workshop with me, and he was one of these guys who's really good at hitting on women, and one day I woke up and I was in his bed and I was like, how did I get here? How did I get here? And I was kind of baffled. And so because we were in this environment, which actually could be this environment we live in here in America, I went over to his house. I said, I didn't really want that to happen. He said, well, I thought you were attracted to me. I said, I was, but I didn't want that. And we actually talked for about over an hour, and we became friends. And he confided in me that this had happened to him before. Nobody had ever really told him. This is what you're talking about, train them. No one had really told him. Yeah. And he said he didn't want to be this way. He had considered that maybe he had kind of a sex addiction problem. And we remained friends for about 9 months. The remaining 9 months I was at the ashram, and he would come up to me at times, and I would sometimes see him kind of hitting on a woman. I go, hey, what are you doing there? He'd go, oh, and am I going a little too far? I go, just check it out, and then one time I was out having dinner with a girlfriend. She's like, yeah, he hit on me. I'm like, damn. So I went and told him. And he was like, I'm really trying to be better. And so there was a friendship around this type of behavior where a man really was able to open up because of that environment. But it could be our environment we live in today where it's like, I wish it hadn't gone that far. I wish he hadn't been successful. But since that happened, we still were able to be in dialogue and connect. And he could grow from it. I could grow from it. I could grow by saying, hey, that violated my boundaries. I would have spoken up if I'd known. This was before the whole Me Too movement. So it was like, I didn't know that I was supposed to be angry. I was more like, this is my brother. He's lost. He's lost. He's having ridiculous sex with people that don't want to have sex with him. So that's a story that I want to share with you, because that's what's possible if we're not seeing dating as this unloving encounters of throw you out in the trash, you're not my perfect love, get rid of you. Men suck, men are all sexual predators. We're victims of that. We don't have to be. We did these exercises, these Tantra exercises at the ashram where we were blindfolded and we would mingle around, and the assistants would be, I don't know if you do any workshops like this. It's by this point you've established some kind of friendship with the people you're in the group with, so it's not with complete strangers. But we would be blindfolded and we would touch each other and feel the energy without being able to see. So I would really tune in and feel like, what is my energy with this person? Without the prejudice of what I've been taught, like do I like his shirt, or how expensive does that look? You know, how much money does he make or whatever. And we would just feel the energy of this person. And then we would move on to the next person and feel the energy and feel what type of attraction do I have with this person. I write about this in my book, Tantric Dating. And we'd be like, really tuning in, what is the essence of my energy with this person? Is this a sexual attraction? Is this a friend thing? Is it somewhere in between? Is this person...
In this moment,
does this kind of remind me of someone, maybe I don't like this person, or whatever. But it wasn't based on this social criteria we've all been raised with of who's lovable and who isn't. Right. And what we found was you can really fall in love with anyone. Of course, we're not going to become partners with just anyone, but to explore this essence of what's my attraction, what is really going on with this person. I know in my dating life when it wasn't working, I would find someone that, this I think is what's the normal thing. You find someone who thinks meets your criteria and you try to ignore how it feels because you're trying to make it work. And it's really rarely about the other person. Osho once said, the other is always right. And whether that's true or not, it's a beautiful spiritual exercise to see that the other person is perfect. What's my issue here? I'm complaining the other person isn't being authentic, but guess what? I'm not being authentic.
That's good.
I'm not being authentic. I am not really sharing. I'm blaming him for not really sharing, but I'm not sharing my truth. I'm withholding. I'm sitting around thinking about getting rid of him. I'm not sharing any of that. So who's not being authentic? It's always me, if that's my complaint about him.